All right, we're going to have a little bit of fun with gravity in this example. Normally, gravity is going to pull things down, but we can actually modify that to do whatever we want it to do and to do non-real world stuff. So that's what we're going to do in this one. So I started an empty 2D game project, and I brought in two assets that you can see down here in the asset window. One's a little ball that we've used in the past, and the other one is this little trophy case thing, all from Glitch. I'm going to drag this thing in here and expand it just a little bit and explain what we're going to try and do. So, and then I'll also drag this little ball in, and I'm going to give this ball a higher Z order, or higher order and layer 1. That way it's always in front. So the idea is we are going to move this ball around the border of this little trophy case, and if it's on this bottom ledge, we want gravity to pull it down. If it's on the left, we want gravity to pull it to the left. And so as we move around, we're going to have to change how gravity works to give it a pretty cool looking effect. So that's the idea. It's not that hard. Most of the code that we're going to put in here deals with getting input from the arrow keys and handling collisions and that sort of stuff. So we'll just start with that. We've done this before, but we'll go through it really quickly. We'll call this a ball controller. And we are going to attach it to our little ball. I'm just going to rename this thing. Don't need to rename it, but I will. So I'll drag the script over here to our ball controller, or to our ball object. And inside of update, we will do what we've done in the past. And like I said, I'm going through this really quickly because we've done this in a bunch of examples before. So if input dot get key code dot right arrow, right arrow, then we'll move right. If we get the left arrow, we'll move left. How about up and down? Up. Move up and down. Move down. And then we'll implement these functions, void move right, and we'll say vector to position equals transform dot position. And again, this script is going to be attached to our little ball. So when we say transform dot position, it is the position of the ball, and we're going to need a speed on this thing. So we'll put up here public float speed equals 0.1 f, and since we made this thing public, we'll be able to adjust it inside of the unique GUI if we need to. And for moving right, position.x plus equals speed, and then transform.position equals position. If we move left, it's going to be very similar, except we're changing our x in the negative direction. If we're moving up, we will increase our y, and if we're moving down, we will decrease our y. And let's see if that actually does anything. We've got our ball, we've got our script attached to it, so let's see if we can move this thing around. Yes, so we can move this thing all over the place. Right now it's not, there is actually no gravity happening because we haven't attached the correct physics objects to this thing. We'll take care of that and a few other things, like, we can go below the bottom and above the top and beyond the left and right. So we need to put some collision handling and this sort of thing so that we keep it within the bounds of our box as we move it around. Changing the background color of my camera. Okay, so we want this thing to be able to interact with our little cabinet here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an empty game object, and I'm going to call it bottom. And the only thing that the bottom is going to have is a box collider. And it's going to, right now it just added it in the center here. We want it to sort of, cover this bottom piece here because that's what it is. So I'm going to increase the size, and I make my mouse over here, and I hover over the X, and I can just click and drag, make it as big as we need it. And then I'll adjust the Y value and just bring it down. Oops, that's the size. the Y offset will bring it down like this. That looks pretty good. This thing is bottom, and we are going to need to tag it later because we need to know what we're colliding with. So I'm going to do this right now. Actually, I already have a tag left over there. We're going to add a tag. So we already have left and bottom. If you don't have yours, they don't say that, which they probably don't, you can add them in. But I'm also going to add in top and right so that they're in our list. And then I go back over here to our empty game object that has this collider on it, and we'll tag it with bottom. Because we need to know what we're colliding with, that way we know how to set our gravity correctly. I'm going to duplicate this bottom, just D, or Command D, and I'll name it top. And it's going to be the same thing. We'll just move it all the way up to the top here. And we will make sure that this one has the tag of top. And let's Control D that one again, and we will make this left. So our left and right are going to be slightly different. Our X size, we can go back to a 1, and our Y is going to be bigger, and then we just need to position this thing on the left side. And we'll bring it down. There we go. And then we will Control D this one, or Command D if you're on a Mac, and we will make this right. And we'll move it way over here, like this. So there's our right boundary. And then we got to go through and make sure that everything is tagged correctly. So this is right. So make sure that it's tagged right. Left, make sure it's tagged left. Top is tagged top. And bottom is tagged bottom. So there we have all these things tagged correctly. In order to get physics actually running on this thing, we need to add some physics to our one of our objects. So we're going to add a rigid body to this little ball. So physics 2D rigid body, that's going to give it some mass. And we're also going to add a circle collider to our little ball so it knows how to fall. And when we do that and hit play, it lands on the ground, and the gravity is definitely pulling it down this way. So I can still move around like this. I can't move down really because we're colliding with this thing, but I can move up and then it falls down. Can't get over here. I can't get to the top because gravity is pulling down too hard. Now, what we want to have happen is once we collide with this wall, we want gravity to start pushing this way, in this direction. That way we'll be able to move up and down, and we'll be able to jump going that way. So that's the idea, and we'll go do that real quick. And we're going to do that in the collision handler, which we've done collisions before, but on collision, enter 2D, collision, 2D, COL. And we're going to react differently based on what we've collided with. So for now, we'll just say if col.gameObject.tag equals left, then we'll do something. And remember that this is all case sensitive based on your tags that are up here. So any kind of spaces or cases or any of that kind of stuff, make sure you have them correctly. So if we collide left, what we need to do is change the physics for our game. And we can do that just by saying physics2d.gravity equals new vector 2. And where do we want the gravity to go? We want it to go to the left. Gravity by default is 9.8, a value of 9.8 units, which is meters per second, which is what... and I don't know if the real physics engine is in meters per second or how that actually works under the hood, but it's using the same thing. So 9.8 down is what we start with. Now we want to do 9.8 to the left, so we'll say negative 9.8 f comma 0, and that will change our physics for the entire game. So let's just see if that actually works or not. So here I go. I am moving left and right. When I'm jumping, gravity is pulling down. When I come over here, now gravity is pulling me to the right, to the left. And then when I hit the right arrow, I am actually jumping that way. And so that worked pretty good. So now all we need to do is kind of fill this stuff in for the different collisions that we could run into. So if we collide with bottom, we're going to want to go back to our default, which is negative 9.8. If we collide with the top, it's just going to be the opposite. We'll make it 9.8, so it's going to pull us up. And if we collide with the right, it'll be the opposite of left. and so that will be a positive 9.8. And so now when we run, there's our gravity, things are good. We collide over here, now we can move up and down, and our gravity is pulling us this way. And then if we go all the way to the top, now when I push down, gravity will pull us back up. And then when we go all the way over to the right, now when I'm pushing left, gravity is pulling us that way. So it's essentially, as we collide with these different sides, we're switching how gravity works, and it's making the game play really interesting. Now we can't get to the middle, but maybe that's the object of the game. I don't know. And if you had more complex graphics, like this little ball doesn't matter, but if you're controlling some sort of character or something, you'd probably need to rotate him whenever you adjusted the gravity. That way it'll look like he's walking on the wall, instead of just what we've got here. This little ball doesn't really matter. So, but that you could do by just setting the rotation of your transform. But anyways, this was a quick example to show you how to mess with gravity in 2D in Unity. And you can do the same thing in the 3D space too. It's just that the difference is that you're adjusting physics, not physics 2D, and your vector will be a vector 3 because you can have gravity in the X, Y, and Z direction. So that is a little intro to gravity.